What is poppin', y'all? It's your man Club Boy Bales, and welcome to another episode of Wisco Sports Weekly, where, of course, tomorrow is the big day, opening day for the Milwaukee Brewers and the rest of the MLB. We have patiently waited this offseason. Of course, the Brewers, they made the postseason 4 straight years, and then last year, unfortunately, they didn't make it in. And it was really sad and unfortunate, because they looked promising, but they couldn't deliver. But in the meanwhile, they did some things this offseason that could really consider them really underrated. And I think they had some weapons. Some things were disappointing, some things were big surprises, but I'm really excited to see how they do this season. And if you haven't seen my previous video, it was posted about a month ago. I made 20 predictions right before spring training started on thoughts of what I think is going to happen this season. So if you want to check a video out, please go ahead. But of course, this video is just my initial intake on how I feel the Brewers will do. I'll just get right to it. I think they are capable of winning the division. A lot of people think it's going to be either us or the Cardinals. If not, I think we can make the playoffs. I think we have a very underrated and undervalued team, and I think that they can actually do something if things go right. Of course, our strength is our starting pitching. Right now, our starting pitching rotation right now, it's likely going to be Corbin Burns, Brandon Woodruff, Freddie Peralta, Eric Lauer, and Wade Miley. I think that's going to be our starting rotation. I think it's very strong. Of course, Adrian Hauser was a starter, but he is actually going to be injured, so he's going to be out for a couple weeks. And Bryce Wilson was a guy they traded for. He's likely going to be on our bullpen because we don't have much room. Also, Aaron Ashby, don't forget about him. He's injured, and he likely won't be ready for another month or two, so that sucks. But I think that we're very strong with our pitchers. I'm excited to see what Corbin Burns does. I have a prediction. I think Woodruff or Burns, either one of them, I think could lead the league in strikeouts. I think Freddie's also going to have a career year if he doesn't get injured, but that's a big proposal. I think that we have a good starting rotation, and I think it's strong. Also, our bullpen seems to be at sort of a weakness. I'm not saying that, this bullpen's going to be outstanding, but hopefully Devin Williams really plays well. And I want him to play super well because he's just interesting. Honestly, I think he's going to turn into a great pitcher if he can really get those mechanics down. Our bullpen, obviously, I think is kind of the weakness of this team. Right now, you got Matt Bush, Hobie Milner, Peter Sozecki. Gus Varlin did great in spring training, and he got on the roster, so congrats to him. Also, I think Joel Payampas, who they got in the William Contreras trade. I'll get to that later. So Joel Payampas, Javi Guerra, who they got in another trade. Bryce Wilson will likely be the bullpen too. Trying to think of anybody else, but yeah, our bullpen could be the sort of the weakness, but they could be surprising. So honestly, there's really not much to say about that. Devin Williams is primed for a great year, so I'm just excited to see how he does, and that's what I think matters. What, of course, was the weakness last year was the hitting. And while we, obviously saw the team average being under 250, I feel like we're going to likely see the same thing again, but hopefully I'm wrong. Of course, let's go over who made the team on the starting offense. So, at catcher is William Contreras and Victor Caratini. William Contreras we got in the big Sean Murphy trade. Atlanta got Sean Murphy from Oakland, and they sent William Contreras to us. So that was what I think is great. I think he's going to turn into some star pitcher. He's young. He is young. He's the same age as me. He is young. So he's going to have a great career if he's only 24 years old. So he's going to spend pretty much most of his career in Milwaukee, and I can't wait to see what he does. I mean, it's going to be really exciting. I think down the road he's going to be a great trade and one of the best trades in team history, I think, for sure. And then great to see Carantini still with the team as a backup, because he's one of the best defensive catchers in the league. So it's great to see you have those two guys still with the team. First base, it's going to be Rowdy Tellez, who led the team in home runs last year. I'm expecting another big year. And then the big surprise was Luke Voit. I did actually make a rumor that I thought Luke Voit was actually going to have a better season than Rowdy. Now, I'm starting to maybe second guess that a little bit because I'm like, I don't really want to say Rowdy doesn't. I'm going to say Rowdy doesn't have as good of a season as he did last year. And I think Voit is actually going to get a lot of time, and he's going to do just as good. Those two are going to likely split a lot of time. I think having Voit, and also Voit can play designated hitter too. So I think that's definitely. Oh crap. I think that's definitely something that's like really strong. So having those two 1-2 pieces is definitely smart. So like, all right, here's where things get a little tricky. At second base, right now they have a little snagging situation. Bryce Turang, they called him up. So I don't know if he's going to be the full-time star at second base but I think he probably will be. He had a great spring training. I'm super excited to see how he does. I did predict he was going to be the best rookie this year. And I'm now knowing that he likely will be on the team all year. Now, maybe something could happen, and when Tyrone Taylor gets healthy, he might get sent back down. But that could totally happen. But I think Turang is really going to be promising. I'm excited to see how he does. Also, Luis Urias will probably play some time at second base because our third baseman is Brian Anderson, who also can play outfield too. So you know what? We have guys that can really play the position well. So Urias will probably split time at third and second base. Brian Anderson will probably split time at third base and right field. And Turang will get like his opportunities at second base, which is primarily where he's going to be playing because we got Willy Adames at shortstop. Now, Turang is a shortstop, so if we don't extend Willy Adames, likely Turang's going to move there in the future. But Willy, I think, is the guy that they're going to extend this season. He's my favorite guy. I just met him not too long ago. Nice guy. But you know what? It's a cool deal. I really am excited. I mean, having Willy, Anderson, Urias, and, some of the... Anderson could be a huge wild card. He could be really good or really bad. So, you know what? I don't know how to really think of it, but I think Anderson, if he stays healthy, will have a decent season. Urias, I hope he doesn't have a bad season because he has a lot of potential to be great. We just haven't seen that yet. And then, of course, also in our infield, we also have Owen Miller and Mike Brosseau. Owen Miller from the Wisconsin. He is a Wisconsin native, Brewer fan his whole life. It's good to see him play for his favorite team. And Mike Brosseau had the best spring training out of everybody, and he's a veteran as well. So I think those guys can really provide depth. Keston Hiura, unfortunately, we tried trading him because he didn't make the team, but no one wanted him, so he's now with AAA Nashville, so he never actually left, weirdly enough. But I predicted out of all the infielders, I said Keston Hiura was going to get the most time on another team. So possibly that could still happen, but we don't know yet. And I just think a lot of people really don't seem to like him. I don't know. I feel bad, really. I really feel bad for Keston. I had high hopes for him. All right, going on to the outfield. So Brian Anderson can play third base and right field, so he will likely split time between those positions. Our left fielder, of course, is going to be Christian Yelich. There's no doubt in my mind about that. Hopefully, he has a comeback year. I actually predict that he will lead baseball in stolen bases. I think that is going to happen. And then center fielder is going to be Garrett Mitchell, who, man, I was such a fan of him when we actually drafted him. I'm excited to see what he does. It's going to be really exciting. Likely, and then, of course, our designated hitter is also another right fielder, Jesse Winker, who we got in the Colton Wong trade. Obviously, having those, technically you got, Garrett Mitchell and Christian Yelich and Jesse Winker, and Brian Anderson will switch in and out from time to time. And then Tyrone Taylor will eventually come back and maybe be the primary starting third baseman, but Part of me feels like he might get traded because we have two prospects, Sal Frelick and Joey Weimer, who likely could be replacing him. It's very possible, and I'm very excited to see how Weimer and Frelick do. And don't forget about Jackson Chourio, guys. I know he's likely going to start in Double-A, and he's going to probably work his way. I don't think he'll make the team at all this season because of how much depth we have in the outfield right now. But next year, I think, will be the year we see Chourio. So not yet. So I think the starting lineup tomorrow, if I'm correct, the starting lineup tomorrow will be Yelich, Adames, Tellez, Contreras, Winker, Urias, Mitchell, Anderson, and Turing. I think that is how the starting lineup will be. That's how I see it. I think they're gonna go like. I want to see all this happen, and then of course Burns is going to be the starting pitcher on opening day, where we face the Chicago Cubs at Wrigley Field. It should be a great series. You know, Cubs had a very underrated offseason. We'll see how the Brewers do. This is going to be a very interesting year, and I think a lot of things can possibly happen. I'm very, obviously, we don't know what will happen, but it's going to be a long 162 games, and hopefully they make the postseason. That's the goal. That way, us Brewer fans will be happy. But long season, lots of things can happen in 162 games. So nothing you can really say that's bad. So anyways, if you like what you see, subscribe below, comment with your thoughts, and as always, more content coming soon. We will see you next time.